let's delve into this artist because people posted a video about this artist speed paint and nobody is confident that it's legitimately made. So let's delve into this together because I thought it would be a little funny dive. And again, don't send hate to any parties involved. So this is posted on Threads and the user writes, I'm like 99.99999% positive this is AI. As they color in, the shading is magically there. And if you look at their page, there are some more obvious ones there. So this is the artist in question. Their name is Antonia. And again, don't send hate, don't bully anybody, don't contact this person, don't do that. And recently, like yesterday, they have this BTS piece they made featuring all 7 members. And in this video, as you can see some of the painting processes in question. Take a look as they're coloring. First off, like the stabilization on the brush is so high that as they're like making brush strokes, the brush is like lagging behind. But then secondly, they're coloring everything in essentially with like a crayon or like a pencil brush, aka a very, very textured brush that leaves a little like crayon pencil marks. But then if you look at the finished product of the piece, the art pieces are all done in this realism style, which is a finished product that you don't get with the pencil brushes, because if you use a pencil brush, you would see the pencil texture. So in order to get any of these results as your final product, you would have to use some sort of airbrushing, blending, a soft round brush, but not a crayon brush, maybe for the flat color, but even then you don't apply the flat color evenly with that. This already to me looks really suspect. And the comments agree. A commenter says, what do you mean? I absolutely love my totally real magic brush that already puts the shadows in for me as well. And OP says drawing would be so less frustrating, but very dull. Another person says, love the parts when the pen hovers over the tablet and nothing happens, which I think this is so funny. Another person says, as a digital artist, 100% fake. She's painting in existing art. Also, the entire process is bogus AF. Nobody paints section by section. Instead, a real artist would work in layers. I will add, never say never. Look, there are some artists that do like to work piecemeal, like they'll work section by section. It's pretty rare because it's like a lot more work. For instance, like if you're gonna be painting in the face, you might as well color the neck in too because you're gonna be using like similar colors, right? Unless your character's like wearing a turtleneck, I don't know. But same thing, if you're painting in the jacket, for instance, you would paint in like all the jacket together, not like half the jacket, leave the other half. But what this person is doing is, in my opinion, the eraser method. Like the way they do it is they take a finished image and then they go paint a bunch of white on top of the finished image to try to hide everything they painted beneath it. So I don't know, like something like this, and then they'll get a eraser and they'll make it a little soft eraser brush and they'll go into that white layer and they'll be like, oh my God, look, watch me paint Heron. Wow, magic. And the reason you can tell that this is the eraser technique is because when you use a brush and you apply color, you apply the color you select. I picked red. In other instances, if you're applying like a multiply layer, it might alter multiple colors, but you only, with one brush stroke set on normal, apply one color. And so you can tell when they're, painting, wow, a lot of colors would appear because they're using an eraser. And it's not because they actually are painting anything. And other people are saying exactly that. A user says, I have a feeling the person put the already colored layer beneath, used an eraser to move the white parts, revealing the bottom layer. Now, when it comes to making a full determination, right, let's look at some more artwork from this person. And if we go to their page, there's already some interesting tells. They have a lot of art that they post. They post really frequently, like almost every single day, if not every other day, like a semi-realistic to realistic rendered piece with multiple people in it. Sometimes one, sometimes multiple. This one is 3, right? That's not impossible. That is a speed that if you are a full-time artist or if you're just fast, like you can paint at this speed. That in its own isn't necessarily impossible. But then they have like speed paints like this, and I can't open it to the full size. It's for some reason broken. I don't know why every single time when I click it, it gives me this error. But then if we go back, we can watch it in the small form and we can see they have a specific way they draw where as they're sketching and they line over it, they already know where everything goes. So they don't do any sort of body blocking at all. Like, oh, let's do a little circle for the head. Let's do a little this or that. Mark where the shoulders is. Also, every single brushstroke they apply, they know exactly where it needs to go. They don't hit undo. They don't erase anything. Now, some people could argue, oh, well, some programs don't necessarily record undo. And again, that actually makes it even more suspicious because Procreate is a program that does allow you to go and have a hidden layer beneath it that you can trace on top of, and it won't reveal the fact that you're tracing. One thing that I find odd as well is the order in which they color things in, or when they render. You'll see this as they're coloring the braids in the hair, they color the root of the braid and then they color like a lower half of the hair and they like blend the two together later. Not here, like here when they start coloring. It's very like kind of piecemeally, the same way they color in the face and the same way they color in the body, which is why to me it reads odd. Because like, sure, it's less common for artists to render piecemeal, as in they render one chunk, face fully rendered, hair fully rendered, body fully rendered. That's pretty rare. But what is even more rare is when an artist is like swapping colors and they just leave. So as they're rendering in Jimin's shirt, they render in half the shirt and they just leave the other half and they come back to color it in and it's essentially the same color. There are instances where artists are coloring ADHD, they look over, they're like, man, would really like to render the hair right now, and they skip. It's not very common. And on top of all the other inconsistencies in the way they render, it's looking like a big red flag to me. So here we can see another rendering process they have. And this, again, what is so weird is that their rendering is not the brush they're using. Again, they're using this sort of crayon brush, and the piece is not drawn with a crayon brush. As you see, this looks like it's done with a soft round brush or with the airbrush for shading. None of that makes sense. You can see this right here at the neck. I can't really slow it down, but as they're coloring, a little bit of pink appears as they're applying the neck color, which is the skin tone. Why would there be a little bit of pink? And the pink is the rim light cast from the shirt, which is red. Again, if you selected skin color and you apply the skin color, it wouldn't suddenly turn pink in certain spots. And also one thing that I think is always very interesting is that we can't see what brush is being used here. It's not being shown on the top of the Procreate UI. This is another video of them drawing where they use the same brush. Again, it's the same like pencil brush, but this piece again is not rendered that way. We don't ever see them use the blend brush to blend colors out. And here is them showcasing their art process. We have half the face fully rendered in, nothing else. No forehead, no hair, nothing. And then the face is fully rendered. The neck is not rendered, which is also going to be using similar colors to the face. Only the front chunk of the bangs is rendered. Then the head is fully rendered. Then the head and the inner shirt is rendered. And then the full piece. Here's another one. Head and half the neck is rendered. And then head, half the neck, and trophy plus hand. Then head, neck, clothing, like the inner shirt and then the trophy, and then the head, neck, inner shirt, the trophy, and the outer shirt, and then background. Look, I try to avoid saying, you know, like, oh, no one does this, etc. Come on. Let's be real. How do you do this every single art piece? Again, I can understand like some artists, you know, you're coloring, rendering in like part of the shirt and you get distracted. You want to render something else. Every single one of these art pieces, this person gets distracted midway through rendering a body part and leaves something half rendered, either half the face. Again, let me remind you, it's not like they applied the flat color and only shaded the bottom half of the face. No, only eyebrows and below, eyebrows to chin, have full rendering. Everything else is a sketch for this art piece. Full face is rendered. Nothing else has any color on it. That's really odd. And then the Hudson piece, again, you want me to believe you stopped rendering half of his neck? Again, if you're gonna render piecemeal, like chunk by chunk, some artists do that. It's not particularly common, but there are artists who will render like this. You don't leave like half of something, you know? Again, half the shirt, half the neck. You would at least render face and neck. Oh, and by the way, if I forgot to show you, this is proof that they draw in Procreate. This is them showing the Procreate UI. And this is the BTS illustration in question. We have all 7 members and their work in progress is just one by one members appear as if they're being collaged in. And the final reason why I think this person's art process is very odd is that it's very different piece by piece. Because again, as we can see, this Jimin piece, no body blocking, nothing. They go straight into drawing the hair and everything is perfect. Then we have this piece, a really sketchy piece of Hudson. And they have a speed paint for this art piece where they draw it really differently. Now we suddenly block in the body, block in the head, we add the lines for the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and then we sketch over it. And this is another thing that you will find with people who are tracing allegedly. And again, could this piece be traced as well? Possibly, right? Given there's other pieces. And again, this is my opinion, but artists are completely allowed to change the way they draw. You are completely allowed to do that. Just because an artist, decided they want to try the grayscale method or whatever, doesn't mean on its own you accuse somebody of using generative AI. But this is something that you will find with these sort of tracers because they're like pretending or faking their art process. By tracing, all you do is trace. But then they'll kind of be like, wait, but like I can't do that because people are gonna accuse me of tracing because I am. So I'm gonna like pretend to do an art process. But you'll see that they're not gonna be very consistent with it. So they're always changing it. Sometimes they do body blocking, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they draw the circles, for all the knuckles of the finger. And then sometimes they don't and they just get lazy and go back to tracing again. Whereas with people who genuinely draw, when they have a method they like to use, whether it be body blocking, some people, they just take a giant gray marker and draw like a stick figure and then they draw over that. Whichever way floats your boat, that's more power to you, but they tend to stick with it. And again, they sometimes will change, they want to experiment, but it's all in context, right? Like just one person experimenting is one person experimenting. But this person, I'm very suspicious of the speed paints we've seen because they seem to have a magical rendering brush that none of us seem to have. And also the final nail in the coffin, is this AI generated? Well, there are some oddities happening, like the chain here. And sorry, I'm not familiar with K-pop, so my familiarity with BTS extends to their characters in Cookie Run Kingdom. But the chain on this guy is melting into each other. So you're gonna tell me you as a human artist drew all of the chains melting into each other? I'm gonna have a bit of a hard time believing that, to be honest. So that to me reads a bit suspicious as well. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this whole situation? Do you think it's legit? Do you think it's handmade? Do you think they have a magical rendering brush that allows them to render their art pieces? Or do you think something nefarious is going on? Regardless, don't send hate or don't bully anybody. I just wanted to share another example of what to me looks like a very faked version of a speed paint somebody is trying to pass off. And with that, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Answering the question, the elephant in the room. Kat, why does your arm look like you did the Chinese cupping method all the way down your arm? You see, I crocheted myself a sweater to wear at Warped Tour that had giant holes in it. And I forgot to apply sunscreen. I applied it everywhere except my arms. And I am now suffering the consequences of my actions. Apply sunscreen, kids. Yippee. And I cut my own hair, so yay. I think this is the first DIY haircut I've done that I actually liked. They've all previously looked a little different ways of screwed up. So yippee, we'll take that dub. But anyways, if you like this video, I appreciate it. If you like and subscribe, I'm trying to grow my Instagram to 100K, so it would mean a lot if you'd like to follow me there. I'm also working on my vlog channels. Your girl's putting out some vlogs, so if you want to see some vlogs, they're on my vlog channel. I'm working on my editing. I think my edits are kind of funny, maybe a little bit, so it would mean a lot if you want to check me out there. I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, and I hope to catch you all there or in another one of my videos. Peace.